This episode is exploring something very important to me and to us. It's one of the profound principles of nuVolutions. We're talking about belonging and aloneness. Welcome to nuVolutions. I'm Tambra Harck, your host and creator of nuVolutions podcast, and together we explore and experience what it means to be living on the edge of creation. I'm really honored you're here. So as I begin to prepare for today's episode, I realized that we could actually be doing a 3-day retreat or a full year exploration on our experiences of and ways and means by which to elevate ourselves in belonging and aloneness. But today, because this is the podcast, it's going to be much shorter. So I'm not going to touch on everything here. But I do hope that you'll join me in the conversation and add your contributions to it. Let's begin with this idea that me versus we. Or one way that I said it several years ago on my website, on a phrase, I said something like, we are moving from a perspective of me to we. And that in that, together, we can create the lasting change that we desire. It was something to that effect. I don't actually think that's true today. And here's why. Me versus we was kind of built into the phrase. But I'm saying now that belonging and aloneness belong together. Belonging and aloneness belong together. So belonging. We could probably talk for 3 days straight about the shadows of belonging, the issues of losing yourself, of being with other people where you're either feeling accepted or not accepted, of feeling rejected or not heard, or always being counted on and never having a moment to yourself, or giving up your own voice or your own truth to the group. And this happens in families, in communities, in churches, in full religions, in countries, everywhere we've been. Such things have happened and have cast a shadow, literally, on belonging. I'm going to flip that around a little bit here and say, let's raise belonging to the higher vibration and take a look at the shadows from there. That's part of what we have the grace of being able to do today, that enough of us have been engaged with personal self-reflection, with deep spiritual work, and with our own individual and collective transformation and transcendence, that we've been able to learn to look for and embrace the shadows. And so, of course, there are shadows to belonging. One of the ways that I've heard a shadow to belonging cast upon it, actually, was a phrase you may have said even, but certainly probably heard, of kind of dismissing this, in a dismissing way, saying, oh, we're going to do the whole kumbaya thing. Well, when I was a child in Girl Scouts, we sang kumbaya around the campfire. And it's really quite a beautiful means of connection. It's a form of celebrating coming together. And so to cast this kind of with a nasty tone phrasing upon something that's really quite beautiful is one of the ways that we have collectively learned to diss and take apart the deep value that we hold for belonging. So, one more thing on kumbaya. It's not to say that kumbaya, that loving harmonic expression, doesn't sometimes cast a pretend pink light around all that maybe what needs our attention. And I understand in some ways that's what the dissing has been about. Let's stop doing the dissing, if we could, and instead look for, where are the shadows here? What are we really saying? So, belonging. We already belong, no matter what. So, if you are a human being, you belong to the human race. Let's just make it that clear and simple. You do belong. You are here. Some miracle of sperm and egg and surviving the experience of birth. You are here and you belong. That said, there's also you. There's your individuality, and what I'm referring to primarily as your aloneness. So we don't do our deep yearning work. We don't look to our personal, individual, unique gifts and desires by looking elsewhere. We look at ourselves. We might see it reflected elsewhere. Harmonic resonance really is quite a gift that way. But the truth of you comes through you. And when I said that I used to have this saying that referenced me versus we, in a sense, I'm sorry that I'd said it in a way, because what I really want to say is that what we are about today, the time in which we live today, is a way for us to elevate the me as the individual who comes to life through their unique talents, through their unique genius, through your gifts, through your shadow, through your woundedness, through your expression of love, through your vision, right? Through you. And as you come into community, into gathering, into being a part of or engaging with others, that's belonging. You bring who you are. Now, it's not that easy, right? Because we're out of practice. We've been so programmed by life to believe that it's either or. I can have myself or I can belong. I can belong and I'll lose myself. Not true. Except we've been very well trained. Not just by our circumstances and the people around us and our communities and families, all of that, yes, but also by living in a 3D world. Our way of seeing life has been through 3 dimensions. And 3 dimensions have us keep pitching one against the other. But we're moving into the 5th dimension and beyond. And from there, we can see the inclusiveness, that the individual exists and the group exists. Now, if we see it this way, the individual comes having their own uniqueness, their own foibles, their own sorrows, their own shadows, your own mythology, shall we say, and brings that into the group. And that the group then is added to by that contribution. This is what I mean by belonging, that the belonging expands through the synergy of what we each individually bring. Now, one of the reasons that I see this as a profound principle for nuVolutions and the 5 soul groups is that probably the second most common thing that I've heard from people who I've talked to in the last 5 to 8 years about this is a sense of believing that they're the only one, that no one else sees the possibility the way they do, that they don't have people to talk to or create experiences with, to share their expanding consciousness with, and that has a sense of isolation. That's not aloneness. That's a shadow of aloneness. And in that, the longing to belong is great. The longing to belong. And we're not practiced at it. If we've spent many, many, many years and perhaps many lifetimes from the experience of not belonging, when we start to create the experience of belonging, we're pretty messy at it. We don't, we're not skilled here yet. It's something that we're creating together. So when I talk about aloneness and belonging, the primary thing that I want to leave you with is this: that you are an individual with exquisite capacities and possibilities that live through you and only you. And as you bring yourself and your truth to us, to others, whether that's your family or your company or a gathering of nuVolutions or your country or where you volunteer or to your philanthropy, right? We could just go on with it. No matter where you bring it, the bringing of you is a contribution to the all. And the all expands through it. And the individuals who make up the all, many of them, maybe only one, will resonate with something you bring that then elevates them. And we start to do this to and through and with one another. That together we elevate our consciousness. Consciousness exists, and we expand our capacity to enter it and to receive it and to engage with it. Individually and together. So this was a deeper way, perhaps, to dive into belonging and aloneness than I had anticipated we would do today. And I hope that it sparks with you and resonates with you. And if it doesn't, I'd like to hear that too. One of the things that I do strongly believe about nuVolutions is that we are in this together, truly. And that means that I welcome your voice. I welcome your contributions. I welcome your challenge. And I welcome your uniqueness, your individuality, your genius. So if you will, please comment on today's episode. And I do read every single comment and will bring that information into future episodes. Take a moment with me, if you would, and just become present for the experience you have in your body at this time, which might require that you take a few breaths, receiving your breath in and out, allowing your awareness to drop into your body deeper, deeper still. And from here, asking yourself, how do I know my aloneness? How do I experience my own truth, my own self? And how do I belong? With whom do I belong? And what's my experience of belonging? It's a beautiful few questions to begin the contemplation of belonging and aloneness and bringing them together. Until next time, my friend, be well. You'll find more episodes of nuVolutions on iTunes, where you can subscribe to the show. You can also share any episode with someone in your life. And I welcome your comments. I look forward to continuing the conversation with you.